Good afternoon, we are News Group 3, and today we'll be talking about the Wall Street Journal article titled, New CEO Josh D'Amaro Wants Disney's Flywheel to Spin Faster. Alright, so just as a little bit of background and information before we get started, I'm sure that everyone here today has heard of Disney before, obviously. They are one of the most popular worldwide entertainment companies. They are known for producing a lot of the classic films and stories that a lot of children grow up with and continue to watch. And as of March 2026, they have just named Josh D'Amaro as their new Chief Executive Officer. And before this, D'Amaro served as a chairman on Disney Experiences team. So D'Amaro says that his aim for his new leadership position is to speed the Disney flywheel, which we will get into more throughout this presentation. But basically, he wants to quicken the connection between Disney's new characters being integrated into their ecosystem, like their theme parks, their merchandise, their Disney Plus streaming services, things like that. So basically, he wants to improve Disney's use of their intellectual property or their characters. So why is this interesting? Well, up until recently, when Disney would come out with a new character or a new storyline, it could take months and often even years to see that character be integrated into the rest of the Disney ecosystem or their business model. But now, according to the Wall Street Journal, because of social media, trends are actually moving quicker and spreading quicker than ever before. So these new micro trends, as what people call it, are actually crucial to businesses, and they can either be a huge asset or a downfall depending on how businesses take advantage of it. As for Disney's case, what D'Amaro highlights is that this can be a huge asset to Disney if they take advantage of it properly. So because social media connects all of us so well and people can reach a lot of new content and videos that they might not have otherwise, it is entirely possible for characters or even clips and sounds from a movie to become incredibly popular overnight, getting millions of views. So Disney has to have the infrastructure and the capabilities to actually meet the demand if something goes viral. And this is D'Amaro's plan. He wants to increase the speed of the franchise to be able to reach all of these people who are basically to reach a demand. And no longer can Disney just rely on their classic intellectual property like Star Wars or Snow White. Of course, those will always remain popular. They're classic and they're famous. However, if Disney wants to keep up with the trends and where businesses are going in this current day and age in 2026, then it is crucial that they increase the speed of their flywheel like D'Amaro plans to, and that they keep up with social media trends and have a greater presence there.
Hello, now moving into an overview of our article. This article really focused on how Josh D'Amaro aims to speed up a major issue within Disney, which is their flywheel. And the flywheel, as we briefly touched upon before, is basically how Disney takes one piece of content, like a movie, and then they expand it to all different parts of their franchise, such as streaming, merchandise, theme parks, and it can go far beyond this. And this system is essentially what makes Disney so successful, not just releasing a movie, but then releasing all of the action figures and merchandise and attractions to go with it. And people already love Disney as a franchise. Again, they're very strong as a franchise, but this system is what takes it to the next level and makes Disney something that people love and recognize all across the world. The problem here, though, is that Disney has been historically slow in executing this process. So there's often a big gap between when a movie is released and becomes very popular, and then when the related products or attractions are released and ready for the public. A good example that the article discussed on this was Frozen. When it first came out, Frozen was such a huge hit with people of all ages. And Disney definitely wasn't prepared and definitely didn't expect the hype that came with Frozen. And so they didn't create enough merchandise to go along with it. And then as a result, it took Disney months and months to restock the stores with this original merchandise. And by then, the initial hype and excitement around this had begun to fade a little bit. So this then highlights a bigger issue, and that is that timing is everything. Timing is critical for Disney. As we know today, trends move extremely fast, and we see this in our day-to-day lives, especially through social media, and how something can be popular one day and then you've forgotten about it by the next day. So when something goes viral or becomes popular, companies need to act very quickly in order to take advantage of that momentum. And if they wait too long, they risk missing out on that potential revenue and engagement with their consumers. So overall, this article showed us that Disney is an incredibly strong franchise and has a great foundation, but its biggest challenge is keeping up with consumer demand and staying on top of their trends. Now to move into DeMauro's strategy. He's really focusing on faster integration across all platforms, and his strategy is centered around making Disney faster and more relevant, especially in today's digital world. So his main goal is to speed up the flywheel, as we discussed before, so that all parts of the company, films, streaming, merchandise, and the theme parks, are working together a lot more seamlessly in real time. And so instead of waiting months or even years for Disney to expand on a successful movie, he wants everything to be a lot more synchronized. A big part of this plan involves digital media, because unlike physical products like theme parks or merchandise, digital content can be updated and distributed almost instantaneously. And so that's why Disney Plus is being positioned at the center of Disney's brand and the company, because it's not just a streaming service, it's becoming a hub that's connecting the theme parks, the movies, and all the merchandise, and where you can find everything all in one place. And that means that a new show or a movie can lead to interactive experiences that are really designed to keep an audience engaged right away and not have to wait for that merchandise or the back stock or wait for pre-order. And another important aspect of his strategy is expanding into the gaming and streaming world. As we all know, video games have become very popular. They've been popular, but especially ones such as Fortnite have become popular in the past couple of years. So entering this space, Disney can really meet new customers where they already are and then create new ways for them to interact with their favorite franchises. And overall, DeMauro's vision is just about creating a much more immersive experience for Disney consumers. So whether someone's watching a movie or visiting Disneyland, he wants it to really all feel like one cohesive part of the Disney experience. And this will definitely allow Disney to stay competitive and honestly just better meet the expectations of their modern consumers. Now, a question for the class. Do you think that speeding up Disney's flywheel could ever hurt the quality of its content or of its experiences? Anybody? Any answers? Well, we thought that yes, it could potentially hurt Disney if they prioritize this speed too much over their creativity, because part of what makes the Walt Disney Company so successful as a whole is because of the quality of the storytelling behind its content, and rushing that process might lead to weaker movies or maybe less immersive experiences. But we thought that if they focus on using this technology and digital media to just improving efficiency without cutting these creative corners and helping to get products released faster and merchandise to the shelves faster, then they could definitely find a balance between speed and quality, which would, at the end of the day, really be a great asset to their brand.
So now to look a little bit deeper into Disney's key strategic resources. One reason why Disney is so successful is because they have so many different aspects to their business where they make their money, and it gives them a huge competitive advantage. So their tangible resources include their theme parks, their film studios, and their products and merchandise primarily. With their theme parks, they have made it so attractive to people of all ages who can go and enjoy a fun day as well as immerse themselves in the Disney world and purchase items and drinks and so on. Their intangible resources include their intellectual property, like their innovation and their art, and all of their films, which are protected by copyright. Another intangible resource that they have is their brand reputation and their customer loyalty. So while other theme parks can try to imitate Disney's rides and can even try to make them better, they cannot imitate the experience that Disney has developed over the years. And that makes Disney so much more attractive to everyone. Disney really provides the full package, from the rides, numerous films, to numerous characters, as well as food and drinks and t-shirts and stuffed animals and anything you can think of. And now so many people have grown up watching Disney that it's even become a sentimental thing for them, which keeps people coming back over the years. Overall, Disney's intellectual property is their most valuable resource because it is not imitatable and it simply cannot be beat. Moving on, I want to talk about some more of Disney's intellectual property and really answer the question, are their franchises just simply intellectual property and nothing more? Well, the quick answer to that is no. Their franchises provide so much more for them than just property. Their franchises provide new fan communities, long-term storytelling ecosystems, and emotional connections. So looking specifically at Star Wars, when Disney came out with the movie, they opened up a whole new world of fans and a huge opportunity to continue that story. Every story has an end, but when you come out with a brand new world, there are so many opportunities for the future, and everyone is intrigued to see where the story goes. And that's what happened with Star Wars. People love Star Wars, and it has made Disney so much money, and it has brought in so many people who want to buy Star Wars merchandise and interact with Disney in so many ways just because of Star Wars. It has been a great addition to Disney's films. Disney does a great job of using their resources well, which leads us into our next topic, resources and capabilities. Resources is what Disney owns. Like I talked about before, they can be tangible or intangible. And capabilities is just how Disney uses those resources to be successful. One example that we can focus on is the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is one of their resources. And what makes Disney so successful is their ability to have cross-platform integration. And so what that really means is that they're able to not only create the films and the storylines, they are also able to create rides and merchandise and even a platform to stream the movies on. All of these things give the consumer what they want, as well as add to Disney's revenue. Having cross-platform integration is something that Disney does very well, and they didn't just get there overnight. Lastly, I want to talk about the flywheel as a strategic capability. So starting off, the definition of the flywheel in this circumstance is the ecosystem that Disney has created to be continuously profitable across multiple segments of their business. And an example of how they do this is when they create a film that then ups their sale in merchandise and streaming subscriptions and park visits. So if you look at the diagram on the slide, it just creates this continuous loop of profit. Now, in order to keep this wheel spinning, there are a few required capabilities. They are coordination, speed, data use, and franchise planning. Disney needs to have a plan for how all of the aspects on this wheel will flow, so when the film is put out, they will come out with rides and merchandise in a timely manner. That also ties into their franchise planning. It is so important to have the future of a new film planned out so that you're ready for anything. Disney also needs to pay attention to how quickly they produce new films, and then how quickly they start rolling everything out into parks and streaming sites. Lastly, data use is so important. It is important to know what the customer wants. Disney could do everything right, but if they don't come up with a film that people like, nothing will sell. So looking at and analyzing data is very critical at the beginning of the process. An example that we can look at is the movie Frozen. Disney was not prepared for Frozen to do as well as it did, and they were not prepared for the rapid growth and popularity. So they really did have a hard time catching up when it came to producing as much merchandise as they needed to and rolling out rides and stuff at their parks.
So now we're going to take a little deep dive into why the Flywheel took so long to operate, why the operations to turn a movie to merchandise later into a ride attraction would take so long for viewers to enjoy. So their first major issue was that Disney faced poor communication between their teams. The film production, the consumer behavior team, theme park divisions, they all worked in silos, which means that they never collaborated or shared information within the process together. They worked on their own goals. And because of this, and instead of working together, it would lack the alignment of when it would make a successful movie into a full franchise experience across all parts of the company. So it would take longer for the consumers to enjoy that movie, and then it would take so long for them to get those merchandise together because of these silos. But to my next point, because these teams worked separately, it slowed down production in so many ways. It slowed down the production of merchandise. It slowed down the production of getting those film attractions up. And it takes away the enjoyment for the viewer of the movie to get excited about this merchandise coming out. It takes away the experience when the merchandise doesn't come out at the same time. A movie could come out in summer, June, let's say, and then merchandise doesn't come out till December, 6 months later, and then a ride doesn't come out for another 2 years later. So Disney really didn't take advantage or really look into the consumer excitement of getting these products out and getting these rides out, releasing it all together to maximize the impact, but to maximize the impact that the viewer would have in that moment and make them wait so long. Another one of their top issues is that Disney is a huge company. Disney is a huge company, meaning that they will face bankruptcy at times, meaning decisions have to be made through multiple layers to get approved. It's not just one person checks a box. It is a whole operation and a whole system, and not just one person, but maybe even hundreds of people to approve operational systems. So them going into a deep bankruptcy with the Flywheel, it really slowed down flexible time limits, and instead of reacting quickly to what a consumer wants, the company would get stuck in long decision making in the process. And in the world that we live in today, social media and trends and movies. Our attention spans are very short nowadays, and keeping up with these trends, keeping up with these rides is a huge important aspect, more so than ever today with how technology is constantly changing. And going into bankruptcy, it doesn't just stop operations, but it also just slows down and holds everything. And this was one of their big major issues when bringing in the Flywheel. So Disney's new CEO, Josh D'Amario, stepped in and saw the Flywheel as a huge operational system problem. He saw how slow it was operating, the money that they were losing, and the excitement that the consumers were losing on these movies and on this merchandise. So his main goal was to speed up the operations and to also not let the consumers lose the connection of these movies. So his main focus was to create Disney One, which was where all operational teams would work as one team together. The filming, the streaming, the park rides, they would all work closely together as one team instead of working separately. And this goal is to really unify the systems where it could be planned, where everyone's working at the same time. And one of the coolest things about Disney One is that instead of releasing the movie and then releasing the merchandise and then releasing the theme ride parks, he wanted consumers to get really excited about these movies. So he wanted to release the merchandise early. He wanted to release it before the movies, which is something that Disney really never did before. So Disney would begin operating these ideas and contents while they were also creating the movie. And this allowed everything to be more aligned, and it also allowed everything to be released around the same time instead of so separate from each other. And by doing this, Disney can release films, products, and attractions much closer together, which keeps the consumers super interested. It keeps them excited, and they don't have to wait so long. They don't have to wait so long for the excitement of the merchandise to come out. And one of his also major points was that he wanted to have faster decision making so the company can respond more quickly to trends, can keep up with social media. He understands that nowadays it's different than 30 years ago. Like I said, we have much now smaller attention spans with with apps like TikTok and Instagram, all these short videos. So he wanted to take full advantage of this new technology and incorporate Disney in this as well.
All right, so can competitors replicate Disney? Well, after analyzing their top two competitors like Netflix and YouTube, it's actually clear that Disney's business model is incredibly unique and very hard for them to replicate. So Netflix really excels when it comes to things like data analytics and especially speed. They can pump out movie after movie very quickly and analyze what consumers are preferring in different areas of the country or what they think will be popular and what they think will be a hit. However, Netflix is entirely digital and they are lacking all the in-person experiences that Disney is known and loved for. They cannot give the same services in that way. And also, similarly, when it comes to YouTube, YouTube is all user-generated content. And they're very good with their algorithms and data analytics as well. And they can push certain content to certain people, and they have found a lot of success in doing that. However, just like Netflix, YouTube is all digital and lacks the in-person experiences that Disney offers, and they can't compete on the same level. So while their competitors can make similar content as Disney, they're not able to compete head-to-head in that way. So because of Disney's really unique business model of integrating their intellectual property with their experiences, they're very difficult for their competitors to imitate. For example, because they're built off of things like nostalgia, memories, experiences. A lot of kids have really great memories growing up, going to Disney World with their families or watching the classics like Star Wars, Toy Story, all the princess movies, growing up with their families. It creates like a generational nostalgia that a lot of people have towards the brand, and a very long-term loyalty. This is really a competitive advantage for Disney, and it's difficult for completely digital companies like Netflix and YouTube to replicate. YouTube doesn't have like this generational warm feeling towards the brand. It's just, purely digital, and there's no experience connected. So in order for Disney to continue with this model, it's really crucial that they don't just completely depend on their classics that they've already integrated into their whole ecosystem, but they speed up the flywheel and integrate their new characters so that their system can continue and the nostalgia will continue.
So in conclusion, Disney's advantage is not just to take what it owns, but how fast it can effectively use it, like the flywheel. At first, their operations were very slow, working separately together, not keeping up with the trends, with how fast technology is moving nowadays and how fast everything is changing. But this new CEO really saw this, and he saw that the capability that the flywheel could have and the advantage it could take on competitors, and he really wanted to keep Disney as a top competitor. So he changed the whole flywheel's operation and made it into something that could finally keep up with competition and finally have faster decision making, but also keep consumers also engaged at the same time. Lastly, a recommendation that we would have for Disney is to invest in more AI to analyze data from their Disney Plus app, social media, and consumer needs. Disney does already invest in AI, but they didn't use it so much with the flywheel. So they could use insights on popular content very quickly, respond in real time, and give people trends that are happening now right in that moment. This could also help make faster decisions, their marketing a lot better, and theme park experiences a little more updated with how they operate. And this could also, like I said, maintain their competitive advantage in a fast-moving digital environment that we are today.